Welcome everyone to our partner webinar, MyPV and Solax. We are presenting our brand new cooperation. We can combine our technical solutions together. And this is what this webinar is about. My name is Reinhard Hofstetter. I'm product manager at MyPV, and I'm going to present you our combination together with Rudolf Schell from Solax. I would like to start with a short introduction of our company. The gentleman at the top of this slide is Dr. Gerd Rimpler, our managing director. And he has basically the core know-how of the technology. He raised PV inverter divisions in other companies years ago, and he created and founded MyPV 10 years ago. The gentleman in the middle is Talal Bhatt, my colleague. He's with me in the chat right now. And Talal is our international sales manager. And while I'm talking, is Talal available for questions for you, ladies and gentlemen, anytime. So if you want to know the solution a little bit more detailed than I'm presenting it, then just enter the question in the chat and Talal is going to answer it. My name is Reinhard Hofstetter, and I'm at MyPV since 2016. My earlier business, or before I started at MyPV, I worked in the solar thermal industry. So I'm not the electronics engineer, I'm the thermal engineer. And from this point of view, it became clear to MyPV that conventional solar thermal systems, so systems with collectors and pipes and expansion vessels and all that stuff, they are at the end of their lifetime. Today, we have wires instead of pipes, as we call it. Using PV power for heating makes the heat generation with the power from the sun many times easier, and for years it's already making it cheaper as well. Our history is pretty young. We started MyPV 10 years ago. And last milestone in our history was the building that we use for 2 months now. We have created a new headquarter for the company. This was really necessary also to meet the demands and the production capacities, because the idea hot water from photovoltaics is now really present on the market. It got into the minds and the heads of the people, and it was really about time to raise production capacities. So enough from my side. For the first time of this webinar, I'm going to ask Rudolf to do his presentation, and he will now introduce himself and Solax.
Yeah, thank you very much, and also welcome from my side. My name is Rudolf. I am the responsible service and support manager of Solax Power Europe, based in Germany, in our German branch office, which is located in Rüsselsheim. For this first part, I would like to introduce our company just a little bit, so that you get a first impression of Solax Power and where Solax Power is coming from and what Solax Power is doing. Solax Power is a Chinese manufacturer of PV inverter systems, hybrid inverter systems, and also battery inverters. And of course, we are also producing our own battery solution, which is called the Power brand. Later, we will have some more details about it. Solax Power itself is meanwhile located in many countries in Europe. So right now, at the moment, I'm sitting in our office in Germany, which is located in the area of Frankfurt, in the city of Rüsselsheim. But as you can see on this little map, we also have some more offices in Europe. There's one bigger office in the Netherlands. This is also where we have our logistics center and also a repair center. And meanwhile, we have more colleagues and offices in other European countries, like Poland. Our service technician Mirek is also in the chat today, available for questions. So if you have any questions during this presentation, Mirek can also answer them. Another bigger office is located in the UK, but since the Brexit, the UK office is more independent right now. So in case of any future questions or questions in the next days, months, weeks, you can always contact me or my colleagues, and then we will try to help you. Just a short introduction in the history of Solax Power. Solax Power was founded in the year 2012. Right now we were starting at this time with normal PV inverters, but Solax was always driven by new technologies and the development of new technologies. Therefore, Solax was the first Chinese manufacturer with a standalone hybrid inverter system. And since 2013, we are producing and developing our generations of hybrid inverter systems always further. So right now we are in generation 4. This will be the generation which we will introduce also today together with the MyPV system. During the years, Solax Power was creating also some other brands. Now I would like to give you just a short introduction and overview about the product components of each brand. So our main brand, of course, is the Solax Power brand. Under this name, we have PV inverters, hybrid inverters, EV chargers, and also our monitoring tools. And combined with our hybrid inverter systems, we decided in the year 2018 to produce our own battery, and therefore we created our new battery brand, Triple Power. And later in this presentation, or in the second part of this presentation, we will also introduce you to our battery products. So at this first step, I think that's it from my side and the introduction of Solax Power. Now I will like to give back the word to Reinhard.
Thank you, Rudolf. So after your introduction, I have to update a few infos from my side. So while Solax is a Chinese manufacturer and Rudolf is sitting in the German office, MyPV is an Austrian manufacturer. We develop and produce the solution ourselves in Austria. I'm located here in the province of Upper Austria. So we are not a German company, we are an Austrian company. And the thing that is it all about, the whole presentation today is all about, is that we can use excessive power that cannot be stored in the Solax battery and that cannot be used in the building. So we make use of excessive power that usually would be fed into the power grid. And there, in doing so, you can expand your existing storage capacities. First of all, you use your electricity, your self-produced electricity, directly in your electric appliances. After that, Solax is charging up his battery. And after the battery is charged, or if the available excessive power is more than the maximum charging power of the battery, we make use of the remaining power by using this rest of the energy for power to heat applications. So, hot water and space heating from photovoltaics is therefore our topic. And first of all, I would like to focus on the storage capacities that we have in our residential buildings. As a manufacturer, we also supply our solutions to commercial installations, especially apartment buildings become more and more important. In this slide, it's all about a single family home. And when we look close on the storage capacities of a single family home, and we focus on the battery capacity, I hope Rudolf can confirm what I'm saying now, we see that usually the storage capacity of a battery is somewhere in between 3 to 9 kilowatt hours. And this is somehow a little storage capacity that still up to date has to be bought for relatively huge investments. So a cheaper alternative to the battery can be a hot water solution from MyPV, which makes use of the excessive PV power. But we never compete with the Solax battery. The great benefit of the combination with our solutions is that you can use both storage capacities. So first of all, the Solax battery. If there is a battery, it's not necessary that there is a battery. We can also use the excessive power information from the PV inverter only. And after the battery is charged, we can use the rest of the excessive energy for power to heat. And when we look closer on the energy capacity of a 300-liter hot water boiler, for example, we see that we can store 15 kilowatts hours when we heat up the volume in the boiler to a certain level. So much more storage capacity that is usually available in every residential home. And the great thing with MyPV and Solax is that you can use either both or just power to heat for your energy storage. What most of the people know is that we use round about 4,000 kilowatt hours of electricity in our single family homes. We know this because one time per year we get the energy bill from the energy supplier. Hardly anyone knows, or hardly no one knows, that we use approximately the same amount of energy for hot water heating. And of course, we can easily supply also this energy sector with excessive PV power. This is not a problem. And what needs to be clear at the beginning is the way we make use of the excessive PV energy. So what I'm going to present you today is some kind of immersion heater which heats up an hot water boiler or a storage tank. And when people look at this immersion heater, they are always thinking, well, this cannot be very ecological because electric heaters just use the energy from the public grid one by one. But that is wrong. This is not the way we work. We use excessive power from the own PV system. So the energy that cannot be stored anymore in the Solax battery. And what is always an option for our MyPV solution is to use power backup from the public grid for boost heating. So let's assume that on one day with cloudy weather, with bad weather conditions, there was not enough excessive power from the sun to heat up the whole boiler. Then it's up to you if you want to use the MyPV solution to boost it with power from the grid, or if you decide not to do so because you have another conventional heat source like a heat pump or a wood stove or a district heating system. So this source for the backup energy is always optional. When the devices leave our production, this option is always deactivated. So when the device comes to you on site, it's configured in a way that it's just using excessive energy which is available from the PV panels. Let's take a closer look on this term self-utilization ratio. This is what it's all about. We do not want to feed energy back to the grid, but how much improvement is possible in this point? For example, when we have a single family home with a 5 kilowatt peak PV system, then it's obvious that just 1/3 of the energy can be used directly in the building. The rest of the energy goes back to the grid. So to improve this, we can install a battery, hopefully a Solax battery, and see there you increase your self-utilization ratio to more than 60%. As a cheaper alternative, sorry for this, Rudolf, you can use a MyPV hot water solution and you increase your self-utilization ratio even higher at lower investment. But the most benefit is achievable when you combine Solax battery and MyPV. And if you do so, you have a self-utilization ratio of more than 90% in this example with the 5 kilowatt peak system. If there is a Solax battery, the charging of the Solax battery has priority before the MyPV application. Why is that? Because once it is heated in the hot water boiler, due to MyPV, we cannot get back electricity out of it. So electric energy has usually the higher value on economic terms. And that's why we recommend to give the charging of the Solax battery the priority. And this is exactly how the system works when you install it. We have a various number of different solutions from MyPV. The one which can be combined with Solax is a product named AC.THOR. And this is how the AC.THOR is installed in the building. So you have PV panels on the roof, that's clear. You have a Solax inverter and you have a Solax battery. And what is changing permanently is the PV power on the roof, that's clear. What is changing as well at the same time is the electricity demand in the building, because loads in the building are switched on and off. And what changes all the time is the amount of excessive power. So let's assume the battery is already charged. What's happening is that the amount of excessive power which goes back to the grid goes up and down, or becomes negative. What we are doing with the AC.THOR is reacting on this change. We have the AC.THOR as a power stage to control this immersion heater in the tank linearly. So if you just switch on the light in the living room here, you have a lower amount of excessive power available, and we immediately readjust the power output on this immersion heater with the AC.THOR. In that way, we avoid feed-in and import from the power grid. We are always ensuring the accurate balance in the feed-in point. So you can imagine the AC.THOR as let's say, as a gearbox in between the PV panel and the immersion heater, which ensures that the components fit together. At the beginning, when we started with the AC.THOR in 2017, some people thought, okay, this is some kind of smart home system. But I hope now it has become clear that the AC.THOR is not a smart home system. It's an AC power controller. We adjust the power output on an electric heating element according to the amount of excess power. And this can also be calculated. So such projects needs to be planned. This is an online calculator which helps you to do so. Here you can easily adjust a location. You can configure a PV panel. You can set the volume of the storage tank or the hot water boiler. You can set the capacity of the Solax battery. And what you get is an annual simulation. You get the information how much self-utilization ratio is possible and what is your independence ratio. So you have an technical analysis of the whole year. You can get a sample report with MyPV components, and you can also do an economical simulation. Here you can adjust prices for heat, prices for feed-in and purchase from the grid. So feed-in tariffs can be adjusted and considered as well. I strongly recommend this online tool. It's free available. You do not even have to register somewhere on the website, not even with your email address. And it's a tool. It helps you to have stronger arguments during consultancy, during your sales activity. It helps you to give the customer an understanding of the possibilities when you use Solax and MyPV in combination. So, very good tool, strongly recommended. And here is the bottom view of the AC.THOR. And here we have the product in detail. So it's an AC power controller which adjusts the power output on an electric heating element. When we take a closer look, there are many unique sales points of the AC.THOR. For example, the front view. It's so small, it's as big as a little sheet of paper. And then there's a color touch display on the device. I usually say when you are able to adjust the wake-up function on your smartphone for tomorrow morning, you can also adjust the optional boost backup mode on the display without reading the manual. So it's very intuitive and easy to understand. So this is unique sales point number 2 after the size. What is unique sales point number 3? Everything is pluggable here. So not only the load, also the communication here. The Solax communication can be installed very easily on this orange plug. Just the wires have to be pushed into this orange socket and that's it. So you do not need hardly any tools for the installation. And when the AC.THOR is installed in a way as we see it on the picture on the right, also the cables and the wires, they disappear behind the cover. And then it also looks nice. The normal way to control our devices is the Ethernet. So there is also an RG45 socket. This is not the case with Solax. For Solax, we have so-called Modbus RTU communication, so RS485, and this means that we have 3 wires, A, ground, and B, which are connected to the Solax inverter. I have done the tests myself in the MyPV lab, and it's really, really easy to install these things. Good. This is the AC.THOR. It's a single-phase unit for the international market. There's also an adapter for this European socket here, so you do not have to worry about the connection of the load. One temperature sensor is always included in the scope of delivery. Yeah, and there's also this little touch pen to control the touch display here. Good. Technical data. It's an AC power stage. The linear power output works in between 0 and 3000 watts. So it's a single phase unit. There is also a relay output for special applications. Overall, there are 7 operation modes, which have different purposes. A few of them use this a relay output, which is available on the AC.THOR bottom here as well. Okay. The communication can happen in many ways. The normal way is to use it via Ethernet. For example, there would also be a MyPV power meter available. You do not need this MyPV power meter for the combination with Solax. We would communicate with the AC.THOR via Ethernet, but with Solax it's enough to have 3 wires. You do not even have to install an Ethernet cable there. So, during my tests with the Solax inverter, I have figured out where to connect the AC.THOR to the inverter. And this is the COM port here. It has an RG45 socket, but it's not an Ethernet port from Solax. It's using just RS485, so actually 3 wires. With the device that I got from Solax, there was the blue and the blue-white wire to use as A and B connections for the Modbus RTU, and this is how it worked. I made it very easily. I just took a standard Ethernet cable for the connection, and on one side, on the AC.THOR side, I just cut off the plug of the RG45 connector. I used 2 of the Ethernet wires to connect it in the way as it can be seen here. And this is what it's all about. So you plug it in the Solax and you have 2 wires, or basically 3 wires when we include the ground, which are pushed in the orange plug on the AC.THOR, and then the communication is done. It's so easy. It was really amazing. For my test setup, the blue and the blue-white wire was the one I had. These were the ones I had to use. Please check the Solax instructions, which wires are the correct one. Okay, so now we have done the wiring. What is to do to do the setting on the AC.THOR? There are 2 ways. The easiest way is on the right. You just choose Solax on the AC.THOR display, and then the setting is done. There is nothing more to do. After you connect the wires, you press on the Solax control source, and then everything is done. When you connect the AC.THOR via Ethernet to a router as well, you have the option to do this adjustment also via a web interface, which is included in the AC.THOR. But you do not have to do it that way. It's much easier just to press it on the display, and then it's all done. So the firmware where we have predefined all settings for Solax is about to be released in the next days. So it's ready. If you want to install a Solax device with MyPV AC.THOR today, just contact support@mypv.com, and we give you the manual adjustments. It's also very easy, but for the future we have pre-adjusted all the settings for you. Okay. And then there's a bigger version, a more powerful version of the single-phase AC.THOR, which is called AC.THOR 9S. And you see that there is the same image on the right side of this slide. This is not a mistake. Actually, we have now a 3-phase 9 kilowatt power stage included in the same box. And the control by Solax happens exactly in the same way. So on this image, there is just the orange plug removed, but basically it is the same. The orange plug is always on the device when it leaves our factory, and you just push in these 2 wires for the Modbus communication with Solax. And here are all the technical details for Reactor 9S. It's a 3-phase 9 kilowatt power stage. All outputs are controllable, which means that we can do the linear power control on each one of the 3 phases. But what is very important to know, we can do this on all 3 phases, yes, but not at the same time. So we can redirect the adjusted phase from one output to the other, but it's not possible to do this simultaneously. This is very important to know. If you use an existing load to make it PV ready with the ACT.THOR, for example, for retrofitting installations, then there is another detail of what you have to know. We need a neutral conductor on this 3-phase load. So the load is connected to the ACT.THOR 9S in a star connection. It's not connected in a delta connection. We always need a neutral conductor. This is important, that the ACT.THOR 9S can detect the nominal power of the load by himself. So yes, it also works with 6 kV. With 6 kilowatt immersion heaters. It also works with 4.5 kilowatt immersion heaters, as long as there is a neutral conductor available. The ACT.THOR and the ACT.THOR 9S are able to detect the nominal power of the load by themselves. There is not even the necessity for an adjustment on this. He will adjust on this load automatically. So very easy to install. For all the customers who wants the security that all components fit together, we also offer accessory parts. So we have a single-phase 3 kilowatt immersion heater in our portfolio. We also have a 9 kilowatt 3-phase immersion heater for the ACT.THOR 9S in our portfolio. And here is the latest reference project. There is a 16.6 kilowatt peak PV installation that has been done at the beginning of this week in Germany. So it's brand new what I'm going to show you now. There is a Solax inverter. Here it's rebranded. There's a Q-Cells logo on it, but the inverter was definitely manufactured by Solax. And there's also a 9 kilowatt battery system. Now, imagine the situation. At one point, this Solax battery is full loaded, fully charged. And from this moment forward, we come into the game. We make use of this excessive power before it is fed into the grid. And therefore, we do the linear power control on this immersion heater here, which is assembled in a storage tank. It's a 9 kilowatt immersion heater. And the ACT.THOR control type was Solax Modbus RTU. This is what we have seen a few slides earlier. You just press this setting on the display and then all the settings are done. So the installation cannot be easier from my point of view. And yeah, there's nearly no feed-in in this project anymore. Good. Great example here. ACT.THOR and ACT.THOR 9S advantages. I'm not going into every detail here on this slide. We are going to send you the slide of today's webinar right after the presentation, so you can go through the slides yourself when you have time. And if there are questions left, you can also write me an email. When I'm sending the slides to you, you also have my contact data. So anytime, just send me your questions if there is something not answered now. Good. Rudolf, now it's up to you again. Which Solax inverters can be used for the combination of our products? I think generation 4 is possible, yes. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
We are using our generation 4 inverters. This is our brand new hybrid inverter generation. And we already saw it on this little picture before. But before we, yes.
Okay. I think before I'm closing my camera, I think this is very important to mention. So the combination Solax and MyPV-THOR is possible from generation 4 onward, right? It's not working with generation 3.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So enough from my side. Sorry for this interruption. Rudolf, stage is yours.
No problem. Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. It was a very interesting part. Also to see in any details how the combination works. And I really think that this is a pretty good combination and a very good way to make sure to use all of the produced PV energy and not feed it into the grid, and then it's gone. Okay, before we come to the generation 4 hybrid inverters, I just want to give you a short overview about the standard grid-tied PV inverters from Solax, so that you have a good impression on the product portfolio on Solax. So here on this page, we have our single-phase and three-phase PV inverters. It's the X1 series for single-phase inverters and the X3 series for three-phase inverters. And as you can see, for each power class, we have the right and correct device, which really can fit every PV size or size of the PV generator. So our smallest device is the X1 Mini with 0.6 kilowatt AC output power, and then it ends with the X3 Fourth with a maximum of 150 kilowatt of output power. And as you can see, with all these different product models, we can really fit every PV system. So I think that's enough for standard PV inverters. Let's go to the more interesting part. And now I would like to introduce you our generation 4 hybrid inverter system. This generation 4 is already available since July, August this year. So we already have sold it to the market, and of course systems already have been installed in several houses. What is new with this new generation 4? First of all, the newest feature, of course, is the combination with the MyPV solution. This is a very good feature. I would like to introduce you some more of the product details of this product and what it makes so unique. So also here we have a single phase inverter, the X1 hybrid, and the three phase inverter, the X3 hybrid. Also these inverters come with different output power classes. So the single phase inverter is available from 3 up to 5 kilowatt of AC output power, and the three phase inverter is available from 5 to 15. And before, in our last generation, we only had a 5 to 10 kilowatt inverter, but now we added also a 12 and 15 kilowatt device. And these power classes is not only the standard or rated AC output power. A very special feature of our system always have been the emergency power supply function. So in case of a blackout, with a Solax system, you will be able to still power up your house, and not only with a limited rate of power, you can always use the maximum or the standard rated AC power of the inverter, even in EPS mode. So with the 15 kilowatt inverter, it's definitely possible to power up your house in case of a blackout with 15 kilowatt. And this is pretty unique on the market. And this is one of the main functions of the Solax system, which makes it, one of the best systems on the market. With this new generation 4, we also introduced a new battery. It's our 3 kilowatt hour battery, the T30 battery. It's also a lithium iron phosphate battery, and this battery can be combined together for systems starting from 3 kilowatt hours to a battery capacity of 12 kilowatt hours. But later on, a few sheets later, I will give you also some more details about the battery. With this new generation 4, we were also following the idea to have an all-in-one solution. This means before we had classical installations consisting on an inverter, and then below the inverter we had batteries, and of course all cables have been plugged into the inverter. But with this new generation 4, we are following a new design. This means you can use our X1 ESS G4 matebox, for example, to combine batteries and inverter to one unique appearance. As you can see here on this image, here we have an example for an installation. We have of course, a hybrid inverter, and below the hybrid inverter we have 2 batteries and a BMS box for the battery management system. And what is new in the system? This is the matebox. The matebox is a pre-configured cabling or component box, and the matebox contains, there are also different variants. We have the basic version of it, and we also have an advanced version of it. And the idea was that all cables, this means AC cable, battery cables, communication cables from the energy meter, and also the PV string cables are combined and plugged into the matebox. And then if you close the cover of the matebox, for example, then all the cables will be gone and are behind some covered. And this makes it a very beautiful appearance of this storage system. Now I'd like to give you some more details about the inverters itself. I want to start with the X1 hybrid. So the X1 hybrid is mainly available in power classes from 3 to 5 kilowatts. We also have a 6 and 7.5 kilowatt device, but these devices are mainly available out of Europe, because in the most European Union countries, it's only allowed to go up to around 5 kilowatt for single phase inverters. But if you can also use the 6 or 7.5 kilowatt inverter, then you can also order it. All X1 hybrid inverters, they come with 2 independent MPP trackers, and for this you can connect up to or PV panels with up to 14 ampere of DC input current. So this means the inverter itself is already ready also for, let's say the new generation of PV modules with a higher output current. Another highlight from the Solax hybrid inverters always have been the high charging and discharging rates. So with many other systems, you are really limited when it comes to the charging and discharging rates. But with the Solax power inverters, you can use the highest available charging rates on the market. The maximum charging current is 30 ampere. And in practical, this means for each battery module you add to your inverter, you will gain up to 3 kilowatt of discharging and charging power. This means the highest possible charging rate will be 12 kilowatt. So therefore you just need to add 4 batteries of the T30 battery, for example, and then you can use up to 12 kilowatt charging and discharging power as a standard. And this not only means in on-grid operation, you can also use this rate in the EPS mode in case of a blackout, for example. Another very good feature of our inverters are that they are all have the possibility of oversizing your PV generator. This means, for example, if you have a 5 kilowatt hybrid inverter, then you can add up to 7.5 kilowatt of PV power to this inverter. And in practical, this means if you really have the peak power of your system, this means that, for example, 5 kilowatt of PV power can used in your house, and additional 2.5 kilowatt can be used for charging the battery, for example. All inverters, they come with a backup function. This is always integrated. And if you combine the inverter with the Matebox Advanced, with the EPS components inside, then you can install a system which can automatically switch between on and off-grid solutions. And this solution is already integrated in all Solax hybrid inverters. The X3 hybrid inverters, they have a bigger range of power output classes. We start from 5 kilowatt and end at 15 kilowatt. All of these inverters also come with 2 independent MPP trackers. And for the bigger inverters in this power class, starting from 8 kilowatt, you can also add 2 PV strings to the tracker A of the system, so that you have a little bit more flexibility in designing a PV system. And of course, also here we have the highest possible charging rates on the market. We can also charge with up to 30 ampere. And I also mentioned before that this means in practical charging power and discharging power can be up to 12 kilowatt for each hybrid inverter. Also here, oversizing is possible. What I would like to mention also is that you will get the possibility to connect up to 6 inverters to one system. So we call it the parallel mode. This means you define just a master inverter, and every other inverter is a so-called slave inverter. And then the master inverter is managing all the slave inverters. And this means in practical that all these different inverters, they work like there'll be only one inverter. So they can really work as one system. And this function is not only available in on-grid or a grid parallel mode, this can also be used in off-grid systems. Okay, before we come to the end, I will also mention our available batteries. So since 2018, Solax decided to have an own battery. Today we are already in generation 3 and also generation 4, and these 2 battery types here, the T58 and the T30 battery, these batteries are fully compatible to all current Solax hybrid inverter models. And depending on how many or how much battery capacity you need, you can really define or start from very low battery capacity, which means 3 kilowatt hours, for example. And if you really need a very big battery module or battery capacity, then you can use our T58 battery. And this battery is scalable up to 46 kilowatt hours for each inverters. So this means you can connect up to 8 batteries to one Solax inverters. And I think with this setup, we really have a good, very high flexibility in designing systems. And of course, with this technical highlights of the Solax products, you can really serve all needs of your customers. So the Solax package combined with the MyPV solution is in total view one of the best combinations on the market. Okay, last but not least, I would like to mention our monitoring system. Of course, we are having a monitoring system. We call it the Solax Cloud. With the Solax Cloud, you have the possibility, of course, you can see all the PV data, battery data, and inverter data of your PV system. But you can also do remote controls via app or via internet browser. Remote settings, remote maintenance is possible. And also you can update the software versions of your inverters and also for the batteries. And you will also have a very good tool when using the Solax Cloud combined with Solax inverters and batteries. Okay, I think now you have a pretty good impression about our companies and how they can work together and what kind of solution we created. And in case of any questions, if you need service or support, or you have special questions to our products, you can always contact our local service and support officers. Here on this slide, you have information about the phone numbers and email. So just call us or send us an email, and then we can definitely help you. Okay, I think that's from my. I would like to give back the word to Reinhard.
Thank you, Rudolf. What was good to see is that you cover the whole range of power. So I tested it with a 5 kilowatt single phase system from you, and there are also 3-phase systems which are more powerful available from Solax. So I think this is much more important for Europe than single phase systems, if I'm right.
Yes. Okay. Correct, definitely.
Good. But it works together, even in this way or the other. That's a good message. And in the meantime, there is also a question of what are the minimal components I need by MyPV for Solax MyPV systems. The minimum component is the AC.THOR or the AC.THOR 9S, which I have in my hand. And that's all. So you do not need the MyPV in power meter to detect the excessive power in the feed-in point. This is the key feature, one of the most important benefits. We can make use of the excessive power information by getting it from the Solax inverter. Therefore, it's also working it's only working in on-grid system, because this excessive power is what it's all about for us. As I mentioned, for the load, for the immersion heaters, we are offering accessory parts, but it's not necessary to buy them. You can also use existing immersion heaters if they are available and the power range fits to the AC.THOR. So here is the link to the MyPV Info Center. Here you can get more infos. Here you can also download wiring diagrams, for example. So all the info beside this normal marketing materials, which gives you the chance that you can check whether this device, this solutions works for your project or not. You can do this in advance. It's not necessary to buy it and check the assembly instructions and the wiring diagrams which are in there. You can download this anytime. You can download this now without entering an email address or doing some other kind of registration. So all the info is available anytime. This also applies for our webinars in general. So we have recorded many of our partner webinars, like the one that we have today with Solax. And on YouTube, there are also some tips and tricks videos, as I call it. For example, we have made a short video with a camera directly over the AC.THOR display, where we show how easy it is to do the setup of the AC.THOR device. This is also strongly recommended from my side, because it's as well a very good and easy way to inform you in advance before doing the first installation. In the meantime, there has already been the question to Talal where you can buy a MyPV solution. Talal entered the link in the chat, and here is also the screenshot where this link leads to. So this is the list of our distributor countries. We have a very well developed distribution network already in the German-speaking countries, Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. And for many other countries, there are already sales partners available. So just check the website or contact Talal directly. If you have, if you run a business and if you are not interested privately, then we also can supply you directly if you like. So contact Talal to get a price list if you like. Good. Summary. Power to heat, from our point of view, it's the simplest and easiest way to increase the self-consumption. And the good and great, amazing thing is with a combination of Solax, that it also works when there is a battery. So even with or without a battery, the combination with Solax is possible. Here's again Talal's email address. At the end, I would like to thank you for your time. I think time is the most important thing we have in our time. Yeah, thank you for participating today. If there are questions left, we can deal with them anytime. Now in the chat, I can stay here in the webinar room, or Talal is available, but we can also do this later on if you like. Yeah, Rudolf, any words from your side?
Yeah, I would also like to thank you, Reinhard, to give us the opportunity to present our systems together on this platform. I think, as you mentioned before, that doing webinars is becoming more and more important during Corona times. And this is also what I can state from my side, that I think webinars is a very good and easy tool to give information to customers, to installers, and yeah, especially also for trainings, for example. This is it shows that we will do more webinars in the future, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a pleasure. We already have defined our next appointment. So on Tuesday, we are doing the presentation in German. And I'm looking forward to this appointment with you, Rudolf, because it was a real pleasure. So thank you to you and your team as well, of course, also in the name of Talal. It was really a pleasure to do this presentation together. Thank you very much. So,
thank you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a nice evening wherever you are. Depends on your location, of course. The day is going to end in Austria, and I have to say goodbye and thank you again. Have a nice evening and all the best for all of you.
Empowering the solar future.